Murder droids! Hell yeah! K2SO is probably the most Star Wars thing to come out of Andor and Rogue One. Think about it. We have had crazy droids around since Return of the Jedi. Remember Jabba's palace with 8D8 torturing and ripping apart other droids? Ah, the good old days. When droids just focused on each other. But there was the interrogation basketball in A New Hope as well. Okay, so I guess sadistic droids went as far back as 1977. Okay, yes, I know it's their programming, but in our world, isn't the first rule of robotics a robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm? I guess Star Wars and Andor get away with it by not calling them robots. Instead, they call them droids. Pretty much the same thing, isn't it? Maybe not. I'll get into that later. However, I'm sure the Star Wars universe has never heard of Isaac Asimov anyway. Andor brought back one of my favorite droids, K2SO, a reprogrammed Imperial security droid meant as more of a, well, security officer. A security officer on freaking steroids. K2SO was first introduced in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and he had a funny yet dangerous appeal, although he was largely a comedic relief in Rogue One. Thank you, Alan Tudyk. Seriously, thank you. He also had moments that showed he was a bit dangerous. However, Andor cut back on the comic relief with him as we first stared into his cold, dead eyes while Cyril Karn was in the waiting room with the 6 other KX droids in Andor Season 2. Moments later, K2SO and his compatriots were tearing through the people of Gorman on a murder spree. This seriously made me think differently of K2SO. Not in a bad way, more of a terrifying way. Then we see him reprogrammed as a helpful aide to Cassian Andor and the rebellion, but there was still the horror side of him hinting just beneath his gray metal surface, winding like a spark through his circuits and wiring, letting us know this droid is much like a circus clown, funny and dangerous, only without all the hepatitis. No offense to you circus clowns out there, but y'all scare the crap out of me. But that's what we're going to talk about today. No, not clowns with hepatitis, murder droids, specifically K2SO. But you, yes you, stand still, laddie. You can't have any pudding if you don't hit subscribe. I don't even know if you like pudding, but I likes me some Pink Floyd, so many of you have subscribed lately, and I am so appreciative of that. We're all well on our way to hitting the goal of 50,000 subscribers, and I can't wait. When it happens, I will do a live stream where I take a shot of rum or bourbon every so often, and may even include another shot after 3 super chats. I've done this before. It was a blast, I think. Honestly, I don't remember much of it. But let's do it again at 50,000 and see what happens. Now, back to your regularly scheduled program of murder droids in Andor and all of Star Wars. Mostly K2SO, I'm not going to lie. I've mentioned this before, and I think it needs to be highlighted again. When Cyril Karn, the Star Wars version of Alexei from Stranger Things, entered the secure room meant to protect him, we see 6 KX droids waiting patiently. They were almost human-like, sitting there in their seats with their slouched postures and their hands on their thighs, just waiting. It was unsettling, to say the least. The other humans in the room looked terrified. We don't exactly know why. We can assume it's due to the unsettling nature of everything beginning to erupt outside in the Gorman Plaza. But it isn't out of the realm of possibility that they are also afraid of the KX droids and the room they have been put in with them. The camera pans around until we get Cyril Karn's point of view. One droid turns its head and looks directly into the camera. Not in an unblinking manner as we would see C-3PO, but it's as if the droid is sizing us up as the viewers, not Cyril Karn. As if this KX droid is warning us. You'll see why the people in this room are terrified of us. This droid ends up being K2SO, the security droid aforementioned from Rogue One. After the violence erupts into a full Imperial slaughter on the Gorman people, the KX droids are released into the public, and now we get to witness what they actually do, what they were programmed for. We had suspicions, and in the Jedi Fallen Order series of video games, we actually saw a glimpse of what they can do to enemy combatants. Us, if you played on the Jedi Master difficulty. Fast forward, and one of the KX droids is slow walking down the street, slapping people into walls, and headed straight for Cassian Andor. Cassian Andor's blaster is useless against it. Bada bing, bada boom, a Gore resistance fighter slams his car into the droid. Cassian takes him and has him rebuilt by the rebellion. Nice recap, huh? Maybe it was a little too long-winded. Yeah, whatever. After K2SO is reprogrammed and fully operational again as a rebel droid, we see him sitting and playing cards with Melshi and Cassian Andor. It brings us back to the comedic element that K2SO had in Rogue One. Sure, he was still dangerous in Rogue One, to the Empire now, but he was more comedy than actual deadly in his scenes. Does that make sense? But that has been balanced out now in Andor. First, the street scene on Gorman in Andor Season 2, Episode 8, then in Andor Season 2, Episode 11. As K2SO realizes Cassian Andor may be in trouble, he abandons his orders of keeping the ship running. Another callback to Rogue One when Cassian Andor told Bodhi Rook to keep the ship running. And he marches on toward the apartment building. An ISB strike team member asks K2SO if he is with him. The simple answer, no. As he slaps the guard and sends him over the edge to his doom. I guess this wall's the reason the Empire stopped using railing in their construction. They didn't really stop anything. Okay, it's a joke. Be calm. They didn't put railing in their construction because they were saving on cost. Jeez. Anyway, the simple answer, calmly stated no, was a nice little touch. He could have just slapped the guy, but he wanted him to know that this KX unit was out to get him and those threatening Cassian Andor in the microseconds before his long fall and a sudden stop. And it is in this moment that the remnants of his Imperial programming really kick in. He's no longer just the comic relief of the show, at least not for now. Then in Andor Season 2, Episode 12, K2SO is full-on horror. It shows that he slapped the pilot of the transport shuttle so hard his head broke the console. Yuck. A body slam and a Spartan kick later, and K2SO is on the elevator. And this is where the real horror begins. Sure, the Gorman Plaza was enough for us to understand what K2SO is capable of under Imperial programming, but now we see that programming surface against the ones who created him. Not the actual people, the Empire itself as a whole. He shoots one fool, then snatches Supervisor Hirt out of his little cubbyhole. A couple screams later, and Hirt falls silent. The next time we see Hirt, he is dangling lifeless by his neck in front of the reactivated murder droid. Once he's finished, the hallway is clear, and he returns to being comic relief. This is disturbing, especially for those who have to go up against K2. It only shows that he may not be fully rid of his Imperial programming, or maybe those who restored him left certain code within him, but just reversed it to now only surface when faced with Imperial opposition. Whatever it is, it's brilliant and disturbing. And this is why K2SO is now my favorite droid ever, and I can't stop talking about the guy, or girl, or it, whatever. The writing and design of K2SO is as deep as any of the living characters in Andor and Rogue One. While I agree his personality is all in his programming, droid is shortened for android. The difference between a robot and an android is their function. Robots are general-purpose machines, where androids are created to mimic humans and have advanced intelligence and can learn and adapt. While murderous droids are nothing new to Star Wars, K2SO brings a new depth to it. When he was struck down in Rogue One, we felt the loss, just as we would if C-3PO or R2-D2 were struck down. maybe on a lesser degree, because a lot of us grew up with the latter two droids. Droids like Chopper, who has a higher kill count than just about any character in most of Star Wars, the drug-inducing torture ball from A New Hope, and even 000 from the Vader and Dr. Aphra comics have been around for some time in canon. K2SO is the first we get to see in full action on this scale in live action. I'm not even going to talk about battle droids. There's too many of them damn things. I just wish K2SO could have lived through Rogue One, but he wasn't in the original trilogy, so it made sense to get rid of him. I'd like to see some kind of backstory of his creation of some kind. That would be kind of neat. What do you think of K2SO and droids in general, especially the murder droids? Which is your favorite and why? I'm really interested to know. I still think he's pleasantly terrifying. If you've made it this far, you are the best there ever was and deserve my appreciation. Yay! Still, that doesn't stop me from telling you to subscribe to the channel. Like the video, share it with some friends or even a donkey. I'm serious about the part about getting to 50,000 subscribers, and in order to better serve you all, I know it's a steady process, and I promise I'm not impatient. YouTube just likes it more when I ask for subscribers, and I get all excited when I see the count move up, even by one. Not that excited. Calm down, perverts. Jesus. Until the next time, may the Force be with you. Unless you're a KX unit, then you don't need the Force.